Welcome! Woohoo! It's a Texas Hemp Party, y'all.
Yay!
Welcome! Yay!
Yay!
That's so cool. Dang, we've had some fun, y'all. That was awesome. Well, thanks for joining us, everyone. Today is Thursday, August 13th, 2020.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Time's flying.
It really is. I'm your host, Leah Laxton. I'm a native Kentuckian with a passion for hemp and its impact on local communities. And I'm joined by my two co-hosts. Today, it's Captain Cannabis.
Hey guys. It's an awesome
And
week.
heck yeah. And my other amazing co-host and the producer of our show, Cynthia Morales.
Yay!
Hi, everyone. Happy Thursday. Happy mid-August. Crazy.
Happy 103 degrees today day.
Happy week 25 of quarantine for some of us.
For sure. Happy 2020. I'm not sure those two things go together, but that's okay. We'll make it work. So we're stoked that you've joined us today. Today we're going to have a little bit of a short episode because we're doing something really cool this weekend. We're doing a digital detox, our company retreat. We're coming out to the ranch out here in Smithville, and we're going to lounge by the pool, sort of decompress, meditate, do fishing. Daniel and I haven't fished in like 20 years, so we'll see how that goes.
Possibly 30.
Really just 30 years for you?
Possibly. I just don't, I can't count.
Really?
So
Because you've been fishing?
I haven't been fishing, no. It's funny. In our last business, we spent a lot of time helping our customers, and I don't think we fished once with them. Drank a lot of alcohol.
You've been like lobstering, right, in the last 20 years, but that's been probably as close to fishing.
Joey Weatherford, shout out to Joey. Yeah, lobstering.
Thank you.
And also his
way back. Buddy. Yeah, for sure. So we'll see how that goes. It should be really fun to kind of get back to nature, like it's funny. I asked Cynthia, because you're a big camper, and I'm always like, what do you do when you camp? And then when we went out to CBD Jeannie's ranch and we camped, it was amazing. It's like you're so busy.
Time flies. I told you, I was like, there's so much to do and to set up that by the time you're done, you're going to just drink and then set up again and go to sleep.
Take it all back down. It's like you put all this stuff out, you do all these things, you have a smoke, you have a drink, and then you tear it all back down again, and then the next day you put it all back out again. That's camping.
What's
beautiful about that is it distracts your mind from what's going on in the world, and you can separate your mind from the business world and everything, get back to nature and feel calm and happy within yourself, right?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, so that's what this weekend's going to be all about for us. I think it's very needed. So we're excited to just kick back, relax, decompress. Probably won't have a whole lot of posts going on. Just kind of recenter and plan out the third and fourth quarter, because here we are. We are into the third quarter of the year. Exciting things happening in the world of CBD and consumer adoption. Hemp is getting ready to get harvested here in Texas and a lot of other states, probably closer to later in September, but September is a big harvest time. We know we've done a lot of traveling the last couple of years during September to Colorado and Kentucky, Montana, to see the harvest come in. So it's super exciting to see the harvest come in this year in Texas, as well as those other places. So it was kind of funny. I was a little shocked, with all of the growth in hemp and farming, and it's all here, and we know harvest hasn't started. This week in hemp news, like they're already calling it like over, essentially. There was this article in Texas Monthly that's like struggling Texas farmers thought hemp might save them, but the crop hasn't yet delivered. And I'm like, yeah, because it's literally had the harvest. So how can it help when it's not even ready yet? So
Hey, say that part again, Leah, because you broke
did I
up.
freeze a little bit? Yeah, it's just like,
Just
you know, of course it can't be like it hasn't yet been delivered. So because it literally has not been harvested. So
all right, you're frozen again. Is she frozen again?
oh,
Hey, Leah, you got frozen
oh
again.
no.
We can still see
That's
the screen, but you were frozen a little bit.
yeah. So if you go back to that, it hasn't been harvested yet. So that's where you lost it.
Am I back here?
Yeah, you're back.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, awesome. Sorry for the internet difficulties, my friends. We are out in the country, and I was kind of surprised they even had internet out here. I was really scared.
Satellite.
And now that satellite internet. So now you've had the experience, and you know that it can be better. So I apologize to Google Fiber and all the terrible things I've said about them, for sure, through the years, because they're really not that bad.
Hey, go back. So what you were saying though is that the farmers, this article comes out and it's talking about that, and then you said, of course, it's because the farmers haven't harvested, and then that's where we lost you.
Okay, yeah. So basically, the title of the article is "Struggling Texas Farmers Thought Hemp Might Save Them. The Crop Hasn't Yet Delivered." And my thought was like, well, yeah, because it literally has not been delivered. Like it's not harvested. None of it's even nothing. We're just growing, and so I think it just kind of, is interesting.
It's been 3 months. Calm down.
You're right. It's like
it hasn't been legal. I mean,
No,
or they didn't have the rules. They didn't have the rules yet. You couldn't grow. It's like, what do they think?
Exactly.
And plus, this first harvest, they're going to have some mistakes happening. I mean, you're not going to be able to do it right on the first try unless you're LeBron James. Well, he's not a farmer, though.
And that's what a lot of people are growing, just to find out if it's something they want to do in the future. So to already call it, it's like, wow, kind of surprising. And the funny thing to me is like, where were they last year when they were like, hemp's going to save the world, not realizing that, it's being grown all over the country. There's a large supply. But the issue here is not consumer adoption. That's what's cool. They're comparing it to maybe like the emu craze of the 90s. And that's just
delicious.
not the best comparison, because way back then in the 90s, you couldn't go into Stripes and find emu meat. You couldn't find it in HEB. They failed to ever develop their consumer market for those products, and that's why they failed. CBD is everywhere. We were in a webinar yesterday, Cynthia and I, talking about it's like less than 25% of people now have not tried it. Like it's very well known. It's a very popular product. The consumers are there. They're continuing to adopt. It's just that we had too much grown last year, and that has to shake itself out. Demand is going to keep going up. And as that product sells from last year, then it's going to, regulate itself out essentially. But to say Texas hemp is over before it's even been harvested, I don't know. I'm taking offense to this article, and definitely going to get on the Twitters and be like, hey, I disagree.
And the emu stuff. Oh, sorry, Cynthia, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I mean, we've talked to farmers, everywhere, and people that have gone out to farms and seen. You guys have seen it too, it just because it's not ready to sell, it doesn't mean that it's not working correctly. Things are happening, and things are happening slowly, but it's a plant. Again, it's a plant. It takes time to do all of it.
Hey, Cynthia, have you ever eaten an emu before?
What was that?
Have you ever eaten emu?
I don't think so.
Have you ever been to an emu farm back in the day?
I've been to an ostrich farm.
I had a buddy that had emus, ostrich farm and stuff like that. But and the thing is I got to be honest with you, I've never tasted emu, and yet it was a multi-million-dollar business. But this one does more than just taste like steak. It actually helps people. It's incredible, isn't it?
Yes.
Emu hemp, emu hemp.
You can do a lot more than just eat it.
Yes.
Yeah,
And it helps
absolutely. I think that's what's really interesting, talking about the different demographics. In the webinar, where the New Frontier Data, highly recommend if you're in the industry to go check out their webinars. They're very interesting on consumer insights, both CBD, full hemp industry. Really awesome that they were already a data company that jumped in the space, and in my opinion are providing the most accurate information and statistics on consumers that are realistic, not kind of these crazy figures we've seen in the past from some other data companies.
Yeah, and mostly because they're partnering with specific, companies for this data as well. So the one that we saw yesterday, which was with Square, as we all know, Square is one of the few point of sales that has been allowing companies in the cannabis industry to use them. However, you have to be invited. It's a beta program. It's not, what exactly does this beta program mean? So apparently it's get this data, as well. And so it was pretty amazing with all the data that came in through there. So we know that consumers are there, and what kind of consumers are coming in through these doors as well, and where they're getting their CBD from is the even crazier part. You're like, what? Not so.
Can we give a shout out to Square? That's pretty amazing. I mean, all the banks that shut everyone down. But shout out to Square.
I think Square has, in a sense, almost saved the industry by stepping in and putting their name and their big brand behind this, and really helping out a ton of retailers in the space for very reasonable rates. So definite shout out to Square. And New Frontier Data as well. And like Cynthia was saying, that's what's really interesting about hemp, is not only does it have 25,000 uses in probably, I would say, across, 20 industries that it can disrupt. If you think about automotive, superconductor, and then obviously the plastics, paper,
any material, construction, concrete,
cloth, and then and that's outside of CBD. Then you look inside of CBD and the cannabinoids that are extracted. You have so many different markets inside of that, because you have the health and wellness aspect. You have a medicinal application for specific ailments, like the Teacup program that really kind of focuses on that. You have sports, athletics, just really daily life, cannabis culture applications where you're just enjoying pre-rolls and sort of experiencing that culture without the high THC. So there's just a million different ways that you can go with it.
And one other thing is that there's still 130 cannabinoids that we don't understand exactly what they do. We know they're beneficial, but we don't know which aspects our scientists are working on to say, oh, wow, this little cannabinoid does this. We already know the THC, what that does to us. We know what the CBD does to us.
Yeah, there's a reason we say the entourage effect, because they all work together. But yeah, exactly, Daniel.
But I can't wait till we find out what the other ones do to help our bodies.
Yes.
Yeah. We're already starting to see studies. Of course, a lot of studies on CBN for sleep and CBG for cancer and those kinds of things, research. So it's going to be interesting as each of these, are pulled out. Now, granted, those are minor. Yeah, Alzheimer's. These are more minor cannabinoids. So how much can we extract out will be the question as well, right? Because CBD, THC being dominant, can they be grown?
Yeah, they're grown at different times throughout the plant, or different stages of the plant. So exactly, you have to learn what you're farming for, what you're going to sell, sometimes maybe what the end product is, and all that's going to affect your cycles as well.
CBG, you're going to harvest it more than likely sooner, because that's the first cannabinoid. It's kind of the master cannabinoid. And then your CBN is sometimes a degraded cannabinoid from a different cannabinoid that degrades into CBN. And so that's kind of cool, though. And knowing those things, it's amazing. I mean, there's so much, we all get involved with wine and become if you're, I know all about wine, and just imagine how much fun it is to get to know all the cannabinoids in this plant. It's fun, and it's
Yes.
good for you.
Well, speaking of, yesterday I also saw a webinar with Amma Healing. So
Oh yeah.
they're doing, they're partnering up with a lot of really amazing people, especially just for education. And so one of the things they were talking about was why, why do we say CBD works for some people but not for some, and this might work, you have to try it out. And well, it goes back to your genes, this is working with your specific endocannabinoid system. And so knowing what type of genes you have, how they work.
Now I have some Levi genes, and I also have some Guest genes. I don't know. Some people like Lee genes, but Lee genes don't fit me very well.
I don't know. I'm not sure how much those types of genes are, but you can take a Canna DNA test.
Yay!
Ooh.
Yes. So let me see if I can go to this.
And this is like if you've already done 23andMe, and so you've obviously already given your private DNA to a corporation, global corporation, in the hopes that they won't sell it to aliens someday. Like Daniel and I have, Captain Cannabis and I have. We're like, you know what? If the aliens want it, if it's a good price, I understand. I want to know who my great grandparents, where they were from. It's worth it. But if you've done one of these 23andMe's, you can actually use that test. You don't have to do a re-swab, right? You can just send them that one.
Yes, so there is different one. This is the one. If you went to the webinar, you received a discount in price. So I actually ordered one, and I'm super excited to get it. This is David. David, shout out to David. He was the rad talking about it, but he's also going to be the coach. So he basically, what that means is once they do all this process, because a lot of the times, in the 23andMe, you get that information. You're like, well, what does this mean? How can I apply this to my daily life? So what they do as a coach is they read it back to you and they explain it to you specifically how this is going to be helpful in your cannabis use. So I have never done a 23andMe, but that's fine. So if you haven't done that, they can send you their own test. So it's an at-home cheek swab. So I'll make sure to, we can record it. We can do it one of these days. So
do it live.
Yes, and it's just your Canna DNA test. It basically lets you know.
What if it comes back and says that you're like 60% Korean? That's you just never. Now you'll be able to tell me for certain that you are not Korean.
So yeah, I don't know if that has anything to do with my cannabis use. No,
I don't know.
Maybe it comes from the EU. So.
You never know. So, and it's going to kind of give you some guidelines on how CBD interacts in your body, right? Or all of the cannabinoids, I guess.
Yeah. So how I understood that it helps is that it tells you, okay, these are the specific genes that you have, and then this is the way that they interact with cannabis. This is the way they interact with CBD, THC. So right now they focus on those two. And so they can also let you know how your body reacts to them. So, not just how let's say that an edible as well. It depends on how it is that you take this. Is it going to metabolize quicker? Do you tend to metabolize these cannabinoids much faster? And if you do, well, that means that a lower dosage is not going to work for you. You need a higher dosage. It doesn't really matter your weight and your size, and there might be a trend on that certain people with certain, but more specific is your gene and your compound and what your body itself does. So this will definitely explain to people maybe why I can smoke a lot.
Why you have no limit on certain cannabinoids.
Yeah, but the same edibles can knock you down, and so it's like, why is that? So learning that would be really cool, and seen my proper dosage, because I have, I definitely haven't, we've tried so many products. I cannot say 100% of them have worked on me, for sure. That's 100% true. But some of them have, and it's that why, what did you use? What is it? And how I felt. So this will kind of get the guessing work off. And then you kind of have a baseline with, oh, this should be my range. This is what I should take. And
I think that's really awesome. And that's canadna.com.
Yeah, so canadna.education.
Canadna.education.
So this are 3andMe and Canna.educate. What is it again?
It's Canna, CANNADNA.education.
Canna.education. But so are there, then is this 23andMe that has this website, or is this?
It's a separate company, yeah.
It's a separate company.
Company that's partnered.
Yeah, it's a separate company. They just can use your data from 23andMe. So that's the type of data that they analyze. So if you happen to have done one, then they can translate that.
Do you know what I love about 23andMe is that Lee and I had done it years ago, and they still send you updates, and they keep tweaking, they keep becoming better and better. So some people say, oh man, that they didn't have it exactly accurate, because like for me, they said that I was only like 17% Latvian when I'm half my father's full-blooded Latvian, but guess what, you keep going back and they tweak it. So I'm finding this really amazing that we have the 23andMe, and then you can have another company that can find out what the terpene profiles are. And what I was thinking though is it possible, because of the region our DNA is from, say if your DNA is from this region, and that is the type of hemp plants that were grown over the past 6,000 years in this region, that your body may need that more. Whereas if I can get some Latvian hemp, that would be amazing. Or some Irish hemp, you know what I'm saying? I'm just curious.
I think that would be interesting to analyze as they start to get the DNA in and start to look at that, if that is true. But at the same time, we know that those plants have evolved so much though at the same time. Hemp from Afghanistan from 1,000 years ago, 6,000 years ago is so different than, it's been crossed so many times. It's so much has happened.
It's been a plant. Yeah, we are the ones that have been pollinating it and taking it across. So.
And what if the terpene profile does kind of match markers in regions that people's DNA is originally from? So
that would be interesting.
Because you notice how people from up north, when they come into really hot areas, they overheat a lot quicker than people that are originally from that area or has lived in that area for long periods of time. So this is cool, especially.
You guys have to do it too, so we can compare.
Can't wait.
Yeah, I think it'll be really cool. And I think this goes back to sometimes consumers are frustrated because they're like, just tell me how many milligrams to take. And it's like, okay, this is actually a journey. That's why on the hemp tour, we give you the dosing journal so that you can write down everything that you've had. And we highly recommend that, because we have done that. And that was really how we each came up with our own daily intake of what consumption method, milligram. And it is so different for every person.
Mm-hmm. I know.
For sure.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Because some product will only have literally 10 milligrams in a product, but it affects one person like, oh my goodness, this is so crazy, where the other person's like, I don't feel anything, right? So this is so exciting, Cynthia. I can't wait till the results come back, and that way I'll finally know.
That's usually me. I don't feel anything.
Yeah. Always. I don't feel anything.
Okay.
Talking about terpenes, I thought starting this week and moving forward, we can do a terpene corner so that we can really start to get familiar as an audience, as a group, with some of the terpenes. So today I wanted to start with limonene, which is my personal favorite. I'm going to send you this link in the chat, Cynthia, if you can open it up. I think mine is when I open up the screen shares when I'm kind of getting a little lag. So if you can open up this on your side, it's from Leafly. We love Leafly. We think Leafly is a fantastic source of information, education, in all things hemp and cannabis. So do check out Leafly if you're looking for just really cool information and any questions that you have, really.
If you're cooking with hemp, oh, great recipes.
Great recipes, all kinds of great stuff. So limonene, what is it? What is it and what does it do? Well, it's one of the primarily dominant terpenes that you'll find in a lot of cannabis and hemp, specifically a lot of times found in what is called sativa, which, right, is a whole nother discussion about indica sativa. Really, indica and sativa is guided by these terpenes. This, more than if it's indica or sativa bred, is what I guess guides the effect that you get, which sativa we typically associate with being awake, uplifting, and indica, right, into couch, more a down or a nighttime sleep. But really, an indica plant can be uplifting. A sativa plant could be an in the couch. It really just depends on the terpenes profiles that are dominant. So limonene, generally found in some of the OGs, which basically are on the sativa, what we are called the sativa side. Also found in orange and lemon rind. And that's why when you sniff citrus, like if you have an orange or you're drinking orange juice in the morning, just gives you like that really nice wake up, So those are the limonene terpenes. The terpenes, basically, when we smell them, they create different effects inside our body. So kind of like aromatherapy, I guess you would put down that line. These terpenes interact with our system in that way. So limonene, amazing. Go out and smell an orange, smell a lemon, y'all, and really try to smell
it.
Yeah, and the next time that you have some hemp flower, give that a really good smell and see if you can identify if there's any limonene in there, anything that smells citrusy that generally you might find in some of the like Hawaiian limonene.
Limonene.
Is it lim or lime? I don't know. It could go either way. It is in lemon, but then it's the I. It's like the Valley lemons, but then they're limes, and it's so confusing.
Well, yeah, I think
South Texas, we're like,
in English though the O would make the I long, so it does look like limonene, but it does look at that underneath. They have a pronunciation guide.
Lamonine. I've literally been corrected both ways I've said it. So we're just gonna say lemon. I think if I just say it really fast, limonene, and like just kind of mumble the first part, limonene. But
it doesn't.
Awesome terpene.
We should never beat up each other, or not us, but we should never beat up another person that's trying to learn something amazing about a plant. Anyways, we always keep focusing on the positive because we're awesome and you're awesome too.
I love it. So go out and check out, the next time you pick up a lemon or an orange, give it a good smell, and then smell some cannabis, smell some hemp, and see if you can pick out this terpene. And next week we'll talk about another one.
Yeah, I know.
Cool.
I love it.
And it's also a serotonin enhancer, which makes sense as to how it kind of that sativa effect that it's giving you that elevated. I got energy to do anything because I got my serotonin going. So that's awesome.
If you don't mind me jumping in just to say that for those that don't know, the reason why the terpene profiles don't follow is since the 70s, there's been so much crossbreeding. So you may have a fat leaf, which would be an indica, which would normally, if you're like 6,000 years ago, you're on a boat, a Viking, you jump off, and you find a hemp plant and say, I want to smoke some of that. You would know the fat leaves was going to make you relaxed. And you'd know that the skinny leaves were going to get you, perked up. And so it's hard to know by looking at the leaf size what the plant does now, because they've been crossbred so much. But back in
Yeah,
the day, it's an
absolutely.
easy way to figure it out, you know. You know,
Can
it's
I
like, oh,
get
it looks
a
like a
fact?
strawberry.
Can I get a fact check on if there was Vikings 6,000 years ago?
Oh,
Cynthia, you put
thousands,
that up.
8,000 years ago, there were Vikings. Go ahead, look it up, Cynthia.
I love it. That's amazing.
Nomads.
Well, guess what,
We're always
guys?
happy.
We are at 30 minutes in. We thank everyone for joining us. Do we have any questions on YouTube or anywhere? Let's see.
No, but wanted to say what's up to everybody that saw us on Instagram. As always, hopefully they just kind of see us on Instagram and then jump on over to YouTube, as I keep telling
Oh, thank you guys for doing that.
It's
Hey, yeah,
Yeah.
and if anyone's out there listening, watching the show live, or if you're not live, if you're watching this later, please leave a comment about whether you try to emu. Because and then see
Yes, you've had
and
emu.
then make a
And
comment
hit the
why.
subscribe.
Yes, and then make a comment of why this plant you benefit from this plant versus an emu.
Exactly. Yes. Your assignment is
It's
to say, yes.
hemp versus emu 2020.
Yes.
Get those stats in. So that's awesome, guys. Well, we're super stoked to have our kickback and chill, relax weekend coming up here. Please subscribe so you can see us back with our special guests on the Texas Hemp Party. You know, we always have the most incredible, knowledgeable experts in the field. So join us again next Thursday. We'll be back with more special guests. Hit that subscribe button and go to TexasHempTrail.com if you'd like to download our self-guided tour map. We went out and filmed the self-guided tour on Saturday. It's on Instagram. You can see that live stream, about 2 hours. We did half the tour. So if you want to see it virtually, you can do it that way. Or you can go to TexasHempTrail.com and download the Austin map with more cities in Texas coming very soon. Not just the CBD stores. These are restaurants. These are historical markers. These are going to be farms, pharmacies, all the different ways that you can experience hemp, clothing stores, etc. in Texas. So we're stoked to highlight Texas as Texas hemp and to see it come in on the harvest this year. We wish the best to all of our Texas hemp farmers out there who are doing that hard work in 103 degrees this week, keeping it real and keeping it honest. So thanks for joining us. And I think that's it.
Yeah, we love all y'all. And they're going to see a video?
Yeah.
Need some sound.
That was awesome.